Good morning. I guess it's getting towards the afternoon. I'll be quick. So as Jen introduced me, my name is Britt Power. I'm a partner at Global Stategy Group. We are a company that works at the intersection of business and politics, providing strategic communications and research services to a variety of clients from corporations, nonprofits, government entities, politicians. And over the past several years, we've seen such a spike in terms of the need for cause marketing and corporate social responsibility needs from our clients. We've actually just launched a corporate impact practice. But today I'm here to talk about the results of our annual study, a copy of which is in your folders, and the implications they have for the companies and organizations in this room. So throughout the sessions today, we've been talking a lot about doing good and making a difference, but that's just one side of corporate social responsibility. Brands today and the nonprofits they partner with are more and more in the spotlight for social and political issue stances. And we've been monitoring this trend over the past 3 years in our annual business and politics study, which asked adults nationwide about the role businesses should play in political discourse. So in our latest study, we learned that the public still has a clear opinion about how businesses weigh in on issues. 88% agree that corporations have the power to influence social change. 78% agree that they should take actions to address important issues facing society. But with politics in this country such as they are today, how does wading into these waters impact those organizations? And can these efforts put you at odds with half of the country? And actually our study finds out that it can. So what we did, we tested 20 different corporate stances and looked at the impact, we've heard that word already today, impact, those stances had on both Democrats and Republicans. They ranged from Wells Fargo and LGBT, to NFL and domestic violence, Chipotle and GMOs in food. And the amount to which the impact is different between Democrats and Republicans, we call the GSG polarization score. So the higher the score, the more polarizing the issue, and therefore the potential impact on your brand. And at the top, as an example, the most polarizing issue we saw, PGA moved the Grand Slam of golf from Donald Trump's golf course after his comments calling Mexican immigrants rapists and killers. The public's reaction, split. So Democrats approved of the decision, improving the brand perception by 28 points. Republicans disagreed, with the move hurting the brand by 27 points. That difference between the two is the polarization score, a score of 55. And as you can see, as you go up and down the list, there are variations on how polarizing an issue can be. And we'll be talking about some of these scores as I go through the rest of the presentation. So overall, what we found is that a number of polarizing topics, guns, same-sex marriage, LGBT issues, all are similarly polarizing for companies. But some issues that can be politically polarizing can be less so when the stance is framed by business decisions. Americans tend to feel it is more appropriate for businesses to take a stand on economic issues, things like minimum wage, pay equality, parental leave, all things that can be wrapped around a business. So a couple examples. Amazon. A clearly social issue stance, Amazon banned the sale of the Confederate flag approximately 1 week after the South Carolina shooting by an alleged white supremacist. Republicans disagreed, resulting in a negative brand impact of 43 points. Democrats approved, but not so enthusiastically. As a result, you've got 61% favorability rate. That was a drop of 31%. Amazon starts really, really favorable, usually in surveys, but they dropped 31%. Approximately half of Americans overall thought it was inappropriate to take that position. 38% would be embarrassed to work for Amazon because of that position, and 37%, and there was split between whether it was best for the company or best for society. Another example, Netflix. Netflix took a stance on parental leave, which we can probably in this room all agree is pretty terrible in this country. Last August, they changed their corporate policy to provide up to 1 year paid leave for all salaried employees. So what that meant was a net positive gain. Both sides of the aisle agreed that it was positive for the company to do this. And while there is a net polarization score of 22, the overall favorability of the company increased. 92% thought it was appropriate to take this position. 90% would be proud to work at Netflix. And even though it was an internal, wrapped around business, framed in business decision stance, 63% said the stance would be best for society and would improve society at large. So our study is clear. Companies that get involved in political or social issues are going to be affected, good, bad, depending on the topic and how it aligns with them. But how does this translate into the broader cause marketing programs and planning of them? So the way we see it, there are three fairly distinct approaches to corporate social responsibility. You've got efforts where the cause and the brand are aligned, typically philanthropic, some of the things we've been talking about today, tend to not be controversial, low polarization. Things like Legos and STEM education and technology. TJ Maxx over Mother's Day gave $1 to save the children for every hashtag Be a Strong Mom post online. You've also got brand building through dialogue. These efforts may be more business driven, may not be as intuitive to the public, but ultimately do impact change in the things that companies are doing. Things like Netflix, which we just talked about, Chipotle removing all foods with GMOs, IKEA and the minimum wage. And then you've got politically driven activism. Companies, and more often than not, their leadership, making a stand due to a belief or to make a statement. And these efforts tend to be very polarizing, often may not be brand aligned, and can impact your company negatively if you're not careful. And so they should not be entered into lightly, as it's just as bad to back away from an issue as to get involved in an issue. So, for example, Hobby Lobby and abortion and anti-contraception, Starbucks race relations, Amazon Confederate flag we just talked about, and the PGA. So I want to give a couple of detailed examples looking at these different approaches and how they can work together. So first, we're going to look at CVS. It worked earlier. It's there somewhere.
This is not just a job, it's our passion, it's our purpose, and it doesn't matter if you're a pharmacist or a nurse practitioner, a field leader, or a role in our support center.
There aren't many people in America who get to do what we get to do every day. We get to go and work in a company that really matters.
We're no longer going to be selling tobacco. So we're very excited to be tobacco-free.
This makes us the first national pharmacy chain to take this important step in support of the health and well-being of our patients, customers, and colleagues.
We feel like we have a voice now in this area and that people are willing to listen to us to try to get the next generation to be the first generation that's smoke-free.
You impact a lot of people. You make a big difference in people's lives, and we're not stopping there.
We are extremely well positioned as healthcare is evolving to continue to grow and be successful.
We want to embrace all the complexities that come with serving an increasingly diverse workforce and an increasingly diverse customer base, and to help us engage our customers the right way, to engage our communities the right way.
And we respond to communities in need through a number of different giving levers, including corporate and foundation support, in-kind giving, employee volunteerism, and strategic counsel.
Thank you for making CVS Health a company that we can all be proud of. Thank you for all you do for our customers, our clients, their members, in putting everyone on their path to better health.
Okay. Oh. So, in the fall of 2014, CVS rebranded itself as CVS Health, stopped selling tobacco in its stores. Fundamentally, this was an economic decision. It was rooted in a shift in the business and the brand. But for those of us that looked at CVS as a drugstore, probably not that intuitive, at least not at the time. And because they made these changes both internally and externally to support healthy initiatives, and of course the quit smoking programs, partnering with organizations like Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, American Cancer Society, among a whole host of others, it quickly became more of a philanthropically aligned effort. So a combination of the brand building and the cause brand alignment. And they did not just make a statement, but they made a full programmatic shift that they've backed up with their cause marketing ever since. And the results? Lowest polarization score in our study. 91% favorability rating, that was up 13%. 94% thought it was appropriate for CVS to take this stance. 88% would be proud to work at CVS. And 63% actually view the stance as effective at reducing smoking. Most importantly, probably for CVS. Saw an 8% year-over-year profit increase in the first quarter of 2015 after the announcement. Let's take a look at another one.
We're not born with pride. We're not born knowing where our life will lead, the obstacles we'll face, the joy we'll find, the heartbreaks we'll feel. We're not born knowing these milestones are also stepping stones in helping us find our footing in what we stand for and who will stand by. In searching for the words that help us find our voice. To be heard, to be seen, to belong, accepted for how we live, respected for who we love, and that what we overcome gives power and shape to what we become. We're not born with pride, we take pride. Pride in celebrating who we were born to be.
Okay, so Target, back in 2012, they came out in support of gay marriage. Ever since, they've been focused on a message of inclusivity and diversity within their company and their stores, and with the most recent stand about transgender bathroom usage. They made a social stand on LGBT way back and inclusivity issues, and have made it a business directive ever since. They have backed up these decisions with their partnerships and initiatives, from the Family Equality Council to GLSEN and the Take Pride initiative that we just saw. And our study actually looked at a narrower stance when they announced last summer that they would remove gender labeling from their stores, essentially removing pink from the girls' aisles and blue from the boy toys, to make gender-neutral shopping experience. The results of just that narrow stance, pretty negative. My green's gone. Target's up there somewhere. Target is kind of in the middle at the 23% polarization. My green box is gone. So what happened was, while not overtly LGBT related, many brand opponents have linked it to their overall policies and their liberal agenda. And you can see the negative 33-point hit on their favorability on the Republican side. For others, who I think are mostly Democratic moms who were just annoyed, it also was a negative impact. And the results from that narrow piece of their inclusivity, 59% favorable, a negative 21% drop, 50 split in terms of whether it was appropriate for Target to take the stance, 53-47, appropriate, inappropriate. 42% believe Target took the stance because it was best for the company and their liberal agenda. And also a split in terms of people who would be embarrassed to work for Target. And most recently, with their transgender bathroom announcement, Target lost roughly 10% of its stock value. So a cautionary tale that companies, when taking a stand on a social issue, can get dinged, and in some cases very significantly, but they've made the commitment, and everything that they talk about is preaching this diversity and inclusivity regardless of the business impact. So ultimately, to reiterate, 8 in 10 Americans believe corporations should take action to address important issues facing society. Even higher number believe that corporations have the power to influence social change. Americans believe corporate social responsibility is good for business and engages partners. 90% would say they would be more willing to purchase a product with a social benefit. We've heard today, millennials even more so. And I'm preaching to the choir here, but as we can all agree, the long-term CSR strategies do give a competitive advantage to companies. But companies and nonprofits looking to partner need to have a plan. So you need to know how you're going to engage. Are you going to do straight up brand aligned philanthropy, which is great and does good, business-driven changes that send a message, or are you going to take up a social or political issue cause? And you have to also know why you're doing it. Just making a stand, pulling the Confederate flag from your store, dropping a golf course is fine, but as we've seen, if you can link that effort to the business, you'll be in a better position. And even more importantly, if you align with advocacy partners that further back up your stance, you're in an even better position. We've been talking a lot today already about authenticity. It adds that authenticity to your efforts. And you also need to know how you're going to communicate and have multiple scenarios planned, particularly if more controversial issues are involved. Target CEO and the team have never wavered. Regardless of the stand, they speak consistently about diversity and inclusivity, period. And in addition, you need to have a plan for communicating the good you're doing, the change you're impacting. If we all had the money of CVS, it would be great. We could push our messaging out through mainstream media. But with a limited budget, or if a more controversial issue is involved, utilizing social media and earned media to help boost awareness and favorability amongst the audiences that matter most, the ones that are aligned and can help champion the cause, are very important. And ultimately, as we saw in the cases I've gone over, partnerships are the glue behind company statements and actions. They're the commitment to the stands that are taken and ultimately help the company to create and bolster the impact of their efforts. Questions?
So my question is, you mentioned about the 10% stock decrease in valuation for Target, but in terms of situations like Amazon, while it impacted their favorability, did that accumulate to or translate to losses in sales or other key?
It was a snapshot in time. The media attention cycle is very short on cases like that. The Confederate flag was all over the media for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. More and more people got involved. We actually tested a few different stances on that. And so when they came out, there were some people up in arms and there was a negative impact. But as I said, Amazon starts at 90, 95% favorability, and a month later, it was back up to 95% favorability. But you have to be prepared to take that hit and potentially have it impact your bottom line and your reputation, and depending on the cause, depending on what you do with it.
So thank you. I'm trying to understand, your organization has been approached by both politicians and organizations, correct?
Correct.
And also, you put together you bring the causes with it. You can help me understand a little bit.
So-
How all this is going to national market research to.
So our clients run the gamut, right? So they range from politicians to nonprofits to cause organizations to corporations. There may be synergies across some of those clients at times, but individual engagements are different for all of those clients. What we bring to the table is an understanding, a very deep understanding of politics, because our company comes out of politics fundamentally. So we understand the business of politics and how to run a campaign and how that translates in terms of corporate America and nonprofits, and what that may mean to how you run your business, your organization, and ultimately what that means in terms of your reputation, your impact, and results down the road.